Hello, my name is Catherine Mitchell, and I am a student at the University of Nevada, Reno. This presentation is for Business Analytics 707 around cybersecurity. This specific presentation is going to be discussing Amazon's Alexa, ethics concerns, public policy issues, specifically around privacy rights when it comes to voice-activated virtual assistants such as Alexa, Amazon, Google, Siri, etc. So what are voice-activated virtual assistants, and are they an invasion in privacy, or are they a justification for convenience? When I started digging into this topic, I was surprised to find some statistics as far as the evolution of these certain technological devices and becoming more brought into our households. For instance, if you look up here in the corner, the voice assistants and what people think, 42% would rather talk to their devices than type into them. 43% of people say voice assistants will play as a big role in their lives as smartphones. 57% believe voice assistants are revolutionary. These types of voice assistants are seen as Amazon's Alexa, we have the Siri from Apple, Google Now, and Cortana. I thought this was also an interesting statistics to bring up, which was in 2018, the rise of shopping through voice assistants. So it was $2 billion in 2018, and in 2022, according to Unique and the statistics that they are reporting, it's become a $40 billion shopping business. I also threw in another statistic from this, this article that I found off of the Unique website, which is how Salesforce is leaning into, and how Salesforce is reporting that people and businesses are leaning into these virtual voice-activated assistants. For instance, 92% rely on virtual assistants to search for information, or 75% to set reminders. They use it as text messages or book a calendar event, etc. So it's becoming even not just in our personal lives through shopping, etc., but it's also becoming, these voice-activated virtual assistants are becoming more and more integrated into our business lives. And I did want to draw attention to this one company, Unique, which I will reveal at the end of my final thoughts exactly where I believe this technology is heading according to this company, Unique. So how do voice-activated virtual assistants like Alexa and Siri and Cortana work? First of all, if you are a user, the idea is that you would speak to the device would be on, and you would activate it with an activation word such as its name. Alexa, I want to fly to Denver from Seattle. Then the device would ask more information back to you in order to fulfill its request. So when would you like to travel? You provide the needed information, February 1st, and then the request is complete as you keep going back and forth. When you jump over to the back end, according to the Alexa developer documentation, you can see that Alexa services, once you speak into it, the speech recognition and the natural language processing is what is running your skill on the back end, and it takes your skill containing your JSON body, and the request body contains the parameters necessary for your skill to understand the request performance logic and then generate a response. So the following diagram shows the voice-activated processing flow to invoke a skill with the Alexa service. So for instance, if you follow the diagram, you speak into the device, then the Alexa service activates through automated speech recognition, natural language understanding, and always learning. Always learning is something important to understand as we carry through to the next slides, because the always learning, meaning that it continues to get more personalized as it learns from you. The more that you interface and interact with your Alexa device, the better and more efficient that it's getting at understanding your needs and your wants, and being able to deliver a more personalized service. So that is how it works. Hey Siri, can you tell me what a Whopper is made of?
Here's what I found from Wikipedia. The Whopper is a hamburger consisting of a flame-grilled 4 ounces, 110g beef patty, sesame seed bun, mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, pickles, ketchup, and sliced onion.
Thank you, Siri.
Sure thing.
So the Surrey just told me what a Whopper was made of. But why do I have the Whopper on my screen right now? Well, back in March of 2018, the Burger King hired a marketing agency that performed something and interacted with these virtual activated assistant speakers. And they, in their commercial, just by saying the activation word for the Google Echo, it then, the commercial, when it played on televisions in homes, it would then activate the Google Echoes within each of the homes, thus telling the Echo to say what the Whopper was made of. So this was an actual amazing integration with marketing as far as them figuring out how to activate these devices within people's homes. However, Google quickly turned around and tried to shut this down. But in the meantime, people were hacking the Wikipedia site and changing the ingredients to the Whopper so that when the Echo was giving responses to what the Whopper was made of, it was including things like cyanide or different like slide-ins of what when the site was hacked. So there was like a lot of fallout that came from this one thing, which, word of mouth is amazing because it brought a lot of attention to Burger King. But the reason why I wanted to put this in this particular presentation, when I learned about this back in 2018 in one of my marketing journals, I thought this was an amazing example of how a marketing agency in a positive way, in a non-malicious way, was reaching into the homes of people. But as we go forward with these devices, you can see that there was a murder case in 2017 that was centered around the Alexa, and whether or not, if the Alexa was able to pick up on the murder when it was happening, did the law or state that they could have access to those audio files to find out what happened during that murder. And so this is something that bumps up against those privacy rights when you are engaging with these devices like Alexa or Siri, etc., that they may be picking up things you may not know it, even if you have it trained to only become activated with your turn on word or with your activation word. Has been shown to be circumstances, like just as recently in July of 2021, healthcare workers at a certain company alleged that the Alexa is violating their privacy and picking up on background conversations and not and recording them unknown to the people, that when they are that they are not, that even though that their devices aren't even being activated. And the reason where the rubber meets the road on these things is that when you sign these terms and conditions, there are these terms and conditions that are in there that are allowing these recordings to be used in different ways that you may not know. So truly the only way to protect yourself in these situations is to actually just turn off the device. But we can talk about that more in future conversations. But as far as invasion of privacy substantiations, there is definitely a lot of information out there supporting that these devices are reaching into our homes more so, in which we need to think about these ethical issues, in which how businesses engage with them, how they are used as precedent within court cases and audio files, etc. And where does that privacy begin and end when you invite something into your home like a speaker? Is there an expectation of privacy? So what are the benefits of these virtual assistants, voice activated virtual assistants? Well, there is actually a lot of them. You can have, it's the convenience, as pointed out by the Younique website. You can have information at your fingertips. You don't even have to use your fingertips. You just use your voice to activate the thing and you get the information spoken to you. This is amazing for people like elderly people who do not have good coordination when it comes to their fingers and having to type something in. This is amazing for children as well, who don't know how to read and write. They can push a button of a microphone and they can speak into it, and having the assistant spit back results back to them is very useful for somebody who is not literate or has the ability to not use their physicalness. It's accessible and inclusive, exactly like we just spoke about. There's more of a human touch to it. So there's a conversational experience versus just typing something into Google and looking at something yourself. And there's enjoyment. I think that there's something to be said about that, and the fact that you get that instant gratification from getting something, the knowledge that you were seeking in that exact moment. There are some also savings that were pointed out by the securityinfowatch.com as a benefit, saying that the smart speakers can also lead to a considerable savings in both time and money. AI powering devices have become reasonably complex, often automatically adapting to a user's habits. The more you use it, the more it understands the schedule and automatically performs your regular tasks, which is saving you time. And thanks to improvements, smart speakers are capable of a broader range. They can also give you notifications, and they can tell you when things are, to alert you to things, which is also very helpful. The InfoWatch also points out something around emergency management. You can speak to it, and it can alert different first responders, or it can it can send out notifications from that aspect. So there are a lot of pros, and especially when we talked in our first slides when it comes to businesses, again, the convenience of information at your fingertips without having to literally use your fingertips. So what are the cons of using these voice activated virtual assistants? Well, this is also where it gets the ethical point, is the privacy issue. Basically, is you have something in your house that, or around you, that is constantly recording you, assumably when you activate it, but it's looking like with more evidence that that's not a guarantee, that there may be ways that these devices can pick up on your surroundings and do audio recordings, so your privacy is not that private, as well as your search history. Just like if you engage on the internet, your browsing history, your search history, the questions that you ask Siri, all of that data is kept as far as information on you, on what you are doing and how you are speaking and engaging with these devices, as well as some of the things that are being pointed out from other websites like the securityinfowatch.com, saying you also are susceptible to hacking. Having a device inside your home that is connected to your Internet of Things, as our homes get more smart with smart devices, having one smart device like that is just another way that a hacker can digitally get inside and take over things that are digitally controlled. Some of the things that Unique brings out is that assistants are improving every day, but they can struggle to understand your questions with the background noise, etc. So just from a usability standpoint, I think that there is some growth in the technology according to Unique to be had. Brand embodiment. So when you're thinking about it, when it comes to a business aspect, not just engaging with it personally, but with businesses and the receiving end, there's a reason Siri's voice, according to Unique, has changed a few times, because people don't really notice. It's harder to embody your brand with a voice and to find the competitive edge that no other company can copy. So this was interesting when I was starting to look into the cons of that. I wasn't expecting that kind of a con, in the sense of how are businesses engaging with these speaking devices, not just from a convenience and like efficiency of doing tasks kind of thing, but also from from users engaging it from a brand. How are brands engaging with these speaker devices, and what is the messaging of the brand that's coming out from them? So something like the voice that is coming out of the device from the company according to Unique, is something to be considered as speaking to what your company is. So the tone of voice coming from these devices can play into sentiment. Conversational skills is a con. You don't get that back and forth as if you would with a conversation with a human being. You get that singularity of just questions and answers. And also the ethical and privacy concerns. So having always listening virtual assistants embedded in your surrounding raises a new and important question about privacy and the ethical applications of voice enabled AI. So remember that I see that being one of the last cons that Unique brings up. Again, when we get to our final thoughts and how this technology technology is evolving, Unique is one of those game players, and that's interesting that I see that they put that ethical and privacy concern as one of the on the bottom of their cons. So to wrap things up, this Unique company, what they are doing is basically taking this virtual assistant, these voice activated virtual assistants, and putting a more humanized face to it. According to them, they believe that their research that facial expressions are 55% of what makes effective communication. So for them, they are developing they've developed technology for companies to engage in. When they have like a chat bot on your company website, you can then add in a virtual assistant, but an image that is an AI image of a person that is computer generated, but moves and speaks and has the physical facial expressions as a normal person would be. And for them, what they are saying is that this brings in now sentiment so that it can better serve you, and you will feel more comfortable in your interactions when it comes to these virtual assistants. So when it comes up to the privacy and the ethics rules, this is an interesting evolution when it comes to voice activated virtual assistants, because if you add in a of the facial expressions, it's just another way to potentially manipulate users or customers using facial expressions or other, non-human or very human-like elements to us, but in a digital format in which they could potentially manipulate you, good or bad, towards pushing you towards an action. So this is my presentation on Alexa and speaker devices. I do not think that this conversation is ending. I think, according to my final thoughts, I think the conversation around privacy and ethics when it comes to these virtual voice activated speakers is just beginning. Thank you so much.